All right. Hello. Okay. I hope you're all doing well. I, as usual, I just woke up. Uh, yeah, this is quite exciting actually. So we are at the last few, well, not really last few. That's like the last 90 poems. So actually still quite a way to go. But I'm actually wondering if I should just do it, just finish that this week. Like just do 10 every day for like the next oh, oh, I thought my mic changed. Yeah. So I was wondering if I should just do 10 every day. So for today and the next 8 days. Because I'm going on like a trip next week, and I think it'll be very hard for me to do this like regularly on Saturdays up. So let's see. Mm, well, I'll see how tired I am by the end of today. I think I'll probably do it. Yeah. Okay, so then, but for now, let's start with the poem. Today, we'll start with this one by Liu Changqing, A Farewell to Governor Li on his way home to Hanyang. So, 送李忠，乘归汉阳别业，流落征南将，曾驱10万师，罢归无就业，老去练明时。独立三边境，轻松一剑之。茫茫江汉上，日暮复何之？Sad wanderer, once you conquered the south, commanding 100,000 men. Today, dismissed and dispossessed, in your old age you remember glory. Once, when you stood, 3 borders were still. Your dagger was the scale of life. Now, watching the great rivers, the Jiang and the Han, on their ways in the evening, where do you go? First thing, the Jiang just means river, so I imagine it's talking about the Yellow River or the Changjiang, right? So let's see. Or Jianghan. Yeah, into the Changjiang, but the Jianghan is, I guess, a tributary of the Changjiang. It looks like, because the water of the Hanyang goes into the Changjiang. For me, that's the opposite of a tributary. I think a tributary flows out of it, of the main river. Okay, but it's a river for now. So for here, I'm just looking at the context of who this is it Premier Li, Governor Li is, and here it just says essentially this General Li got fired after again the Anlushan rebellion. Don't think I'll explain it again. Said 100 times by now, but yeah. So this terrible rebellion, and I guess he got blamed for it, and so he's kind of got fired. Well, okay. So then let's look more about the specific. Any more references? Not really. Okay, so sad wanderer. Once you conquered the south, so I guess this has to be like he conquered new territories, I guess, right? Commanding 100,000 men. Today, dismissed and dispossessed. In your old age, remember glory. Once, when you stood, 3 borders were still. Your dagger was the scale of life. That's a really, really good image. So in the Chinese, it's like, I guess to weigh life. So actually the interpretation in this wiki, I don't think it's as good. It just says like I can kind of see how 轻松 means like to weigh, so light and life, right? So it means to determine the weight of life. So that's what the scale of life might mean here. But the wiki just says the Chinese interpretation just says 轻松. It is a set phrase which just means like you treat death lightly or treat life lightly, which means you're not afraid of death. I actually would prefer the English interpretation here, but I'm not sure how accurate it is, but it's definitely more poetic, I would say. Yeah. So yeah, okay. So your dagger was the scale of life. Now watching the great rivers, the Jiang and the Han. Okay. Could be singular river or plural, yeah. On their ways in the evening, where do you go? I think there's something very poetic about just looking at the river. I guess the river is just such a pervasive image in Chinese poetry that feels like a very powerful image. Like it feels like it could be alluding to so many things. Like you could be looking at the river and you could be thinking about the passage of life or like fate or yeah. I think it's very interesting how things take on different significance based on a history of, I guess, talking or thinking about it. Yeah. So just because so many people have seen the river, the great rivers in this way, then now this is what he thinks when he looks at the river. Yeah, which I think, well, I think it's really cool. I think it leaves it very open-ended, this poem. Mm, like it's just, where do you go? It does end with a question, right? 何之? So where do you go, or where does it go? Sure, I think there's a different. Okay. At first, I thought it might be asking where's the sun going. So here's like in the sunset, then 复何之. So it's like, how does the sun come back again? Or it's so that seems to imply a kind of resurgence or like a rise back to power, but maybe that's not right. So kind of interesting. Okay. But yeah, I think it does end on a very open-ended note. It could be optimistic. So it's like it ends on a sunset, which can be pessimistic, but then it has this character of like, fool, right? To recover, to repeat. So I think, yeah, it's kind of ambiguous. It's kind of yeah. I think here it's just this idea of or I tend to read it more as optimistic, like like it's darkest before the dawn, that kind of vibe. Like, yeah, yeah. I think it's hard for me to say more without knowing whether this guy was like sort of justly fired. But I think if he did try his best, it is always a bit sad that to try your best and like fail. So kind of sympathetic towards him. Um, famous critics, not very helpful. Just this very good. Yeah, basically just that it's very good. But yeah, okay. I think just a general poem of I guess it's kind of interesting because usually when they're talking about the career not doing well, it's about themselves. So here it's one with sort of talking to a friend, but I think kind of more consoling, right? I mean, I imagine like you wouldn't write this to a friend and just be like, your life is ruined. I would imagine it would be more of an optimistic tone. Yeah, so I guess I'm going with that. It's more optimistic. Yeah. Okay, the next, same author, Liu Changqing, on seeing Wang leave for the south. 前别王十一南游，望君烟水阔，挥手泪沾襟。飞鸟没何处？青山空向人。长江一帆远，落日五湖春。谁见汀洲上，相思愁白平。Toward the mist upon the water, still I wave my hand and sob, for the flying bird is lost in space beyond the desolate green mountain. But now the long river, the far lone sail, 5 lakes, gleam like spring in the sunset, and down an island white with duckweed comes the quiet of communion. All right. So first, who is this Wang person? Okay, so Wang. Oh, no way. So his name is Wang Shi, right? It was a Wang 11. I think it means he's the 11th kid, which is a lot. Okay, we don't have much info about who this Wang Shi is. I mean, presume it might not be he's the 11th kid. Maybe he's the 11th and something else. Yeah, but hmm. Okay, it doesn't seem like there's much context needed here. So let's read it again. And here's like seeing you. Yeah, toward a mist upon the water. Still, I wave my hand and sob, for the flying bird is lost in space. Or more like, where is the flying bird lost? Beyond the desolate green mountain. But now the long river, the far lone sail, 5 lakes gleam like spring in the sunset. And down an island white with duckweed comes the quiet of communion. So communion here is a translation of 相思, so it's like mutual, just missing each other, or like mutual longing. So here, I think clearly is a reference to like their friendship. Like they're both going to miss each other. I wonder what. I guess he is the flying bird, is it? Because without his friend, he's kind of lost. Well, so one of them is the flying bird, right? Hmm. 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 Oh, there's a different reading here, which is like, um, The Chinese version says that this part, so by now the long river, the far lone sail, 5 lakes gleam like spring in the sunset. So these two lines, 5 and 6, are of his friend. And then this last part about in Tingzhou, I think Tingzhou, okay, it's an island. So down an island white with duckweed comes the quiet of communion. So this part is like him, the author. So this part is like his friend, and the author himself is like, oh, I'm sort of alone here, but then I guess we're both thinking of each other. I think that kind of makes more sense to me, I guess. I just think it's very weird if like this is all his friend, and then he's like, oh, I'm sure you're gonna have a good time, but then you're gonna miss me a lot. That's kind of weird, right? Right? Like, okay, here. This flying bird is a image of one who travels far. So I think it does make sense that the flying bird here is his friend. Hmm. I don't know. I think it's weird if he's trying to write his friend's internal state instead of his own. Yeah, so I do think it makes sense that the final two lines is his own state. Yeah, because it starts with his own state, right? Like I'm watching you. So Wang Jun. So I know the translation here it says like monarch, lord, gentleman, ruler, but Jun can also mean like you, right? And it's in Japanese kimi, you, right? Kimi is also written with this. So yeah, I think so. First two lines, right, is the author. Looks like the next 4 lines is his friend, and the final 2 lines is the author again. Okay, that's pretty nice. I can sort of see the progression here. And yeah, no famous critics though. So, to be honest, I don't really like this poem. I don't know. It's not really, somehow just didn't really work for me. Yeah. So, I feel like we've seen better farewell poems. Okay, let's go to the next one. Liu Changqing again. While visiting on the South Stream, the Taoist priest Chang 寻南溪长山道人隐之，一路经行处，莓台莓呀莓台见吕恒。Let's start again. 一路经行处，莓台见吕恒。白云依镜主春草，碧闲门。过雨看松色，随山到水源。西花与禅意，相对意忘言。Walking along a little path, I find a footprint on the moss, a white cloud low on the quiet lake, grasses that sweeten an idle door, a pine grows greener with the rain, a brook that comes from a mountain source, and mingling with truth among the flowers, I have forgotten what to say. Okay, interesting. Well, first he's trying to find a Taoist priest. So what's up with that? Some kind of spiritual journey, I guess. Hmm. Okay. So you're just checking if I missed any comments. Okay, so now he's like, uh, yeah, he's just searching for someone. Mm, Yeah, that's really it though. The guy's not there. Yeah, that's about it. So all the context we need. Next, so the poem itself. So walking along a little path, I find a footprint on the moss. Oh, that's really cool though. That's a really cool image. Huh. A white cloud. Yeah, white cloud. Low on the quiet lake. Grasses that sweeten an idle door. Hmm. A pine grown greener with the rain. Hmm. A brook that comes from the mountain source. And mingling with truth among the flowers. I have forgotten what to say. I think this is like, even if I see the priest, I have forgotten what I wanted to ask. I think this Chan Yi. I mean, usually this is more like a Buddhist term here, but I think it's here it just means like some kind of profound meaning, which he translates as truth. So, I think we've sort of seen this sentiment before where it's like you're seeking some kind of spiritual mentor, right? But it's like in not meeting him, you have already gotten what you wanted due to I don't know, the power of nature, I guess. It's like, yeah, there's truth, like you've found the truth just being in that place. Yeah. I'm really going through it very fast today. Yeah. But I don't know. I just feel like I just not like this guy's poems. Just nothing much to say. I feel like I've seen everything he's written. Like I've doesn't feel very original at all. Like we've seen these kind of poems before. Yeah. So okay, but let's look at some famous critics. It's hmm. No, I don't think these are very useful. Like this one says the first two lines are kind of more chill, and the middle are more, I guess, natural, and the last part is kind of calming. But I don't see what's the difference between those and those three states. I don't know what's the difference between chill, natural, and calming. I mean, yeah, let's just move on. I'll turn on my fan first. It's very hot. Am I just grumpy? Am I just like, do I just dislike this guy? I mean, it's not like I read these poems trying to be disappointed, right? Like, I want to read some good poems. So, the fan's a bit loud though. Saturday mornings, so sleepy. Okay, next, New Year at Changsha. So 新年座, New Year's at Changsha, sorry. So 乡心心碎切，天半读山然，老至知人下。 春归在客先，岭猿同旦暮。江柳共风烟，已似长沙布。从今又几年。New Year's only deepens my longing, adds to the lonely tears of an exile, who, growing old and still in harness, is left here by the homing spring. Monkeys come down from the mountains to haunt me. I bend like a willow when it rains on the mountain. I bend like a willow when it rains on the river. I think of Jia Yi, who taught here and died here, and I wonder what my term will be. Ah, so this guy got exiled. Okay. Oh. You know what? Actually, I think it's because the other poems would probably be better if we knew more about his life. I guess the fact that he's exiled may have changed how I read the rest. But okay, but here, I think this is just after he got exiled, was it? So so he got oh yeah, he got demoted and then sort of sent to some Nanba, some place called Namba. And because of that, I mean, okay, this is not really helpful, this context, but it's just, I mean, we've seen it before, but let's try to, yeah, but just because we've seen it before doesn't mean it's not meaningful, right? So let's try to read this, okay? New Year's only deepens my longing, adds to the lonely tears of an exile who, growing old and still in harness, is left here by the homing spring. Monkeys come down from the mountains to haunt me. I don't think they're haunting him. No, I don't see that in the Chinese at all. But it's like they share the same dawn and sunset. Yeah. I bend like a willow when it rains on the river. I think of Jia Yi, who taught here and died here. So here we need to look at who Jia Yi is. I know he's a famous author, right? So apparently Jia Yi was also exiled to that place. Okay, it's a very famous like intellectual. Yeah, I guess he just got banished. He just got demoted to that place. I think that's really cool though. It's like, it's like, I guess kind of like a role model or kind of, I guess knowing that someone else has been through the same thing that you have. And it's like, he said he was at the exact same place as you. And this is like someone really famous, right? I guess it kind of feels like maybe it's not so bad. Like maybe I too was wronged, you know. So I think it is cool. It is cool that he has that to sort of lean on. Yeah. And so I think of Jia Yi who taught here and died here. Oh, and I wonder what my term shall be. Oh, because if even this guy who's like so good, he was banished here for like his whole life. Like, what about me? So I guess having this guy is actually both good and bad. It's like, well, I'm not the only one, but the last guy didn't have it too good, you know. Wow, interesting. I wonder what's the deal with like the monkeys. Like we don't see these monkeys like very often. It's just like maybe I'm reading too much, but and the monkeys are kind of like humans, right? So I kind of wonder if like is he the monkey to this famous guy, like is he like the parallel to that? Or maybe it's like his company is like Jiayi and the monkey. Well, but I mean he does talk about Ren though, other people. So this is in line 3. It's not directly translated, but it's just like just I think just when he's old and then he arrives at like just living in away from home, 居人下. Let's check. Hmm. Okay, so it just means well, this reading says he just got demoted. I don't think that's quite right. Is it? Like if it is, he's being very like just a bit too like he like if he's just saying exactly what happened to him. And it's kind of lame because like these like for a kind of poem where it's I mean we've read at least like 10 like oh I got demoted, I'm so sad. We've read at least 10, 20 of those. So if you're working in a very like overdone genre, like you can't just say literally what happens because you got to be creative, right? If you want it to be a good poem. So charitably, I want to say he is not like just saying what happened because then it'll make it a very bad poem. Because the interpretation is like living below someone, like residing, being below someone, it just means my rank is below other people's. But that's like, I don't know, man, just wouldn't make a very good poem if this was really what he was saying. Mm. But again, I don't like his poems, so maybe that's exactly what he meant, and I just don't like it. So yeah. Well, let's look at some famous critics. I saw that there's more here. So hmm. People tend to like seems like the third and fourth lines, right? 老至居人下，春归在客前. Who, growing old and still in harness, is left here by the homing spring. Hmm. Really? Why is it good? I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. Huh. What? Just like 3 and 4 are very meticulously crafted, I guess. What? Okay, what do they think it means here? They're just like, oh, I got demoted when I'm old. Spring walks before me. Oh, okay. Spring returns before me. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's really good, actually. That's really good. So spring returns, but I haven't returned, which means it's been a year and I'm still demoted. Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Wow. Yeah, that is a good line. That is a good line. Huh. Yeah, they're right. That's a good line. Okay. Hmm. Oh, I like this poem a lot more now. Wow, that's great. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Oops, got distracted by something. Uh, yeah, okay. Now let's move on to this next part. This next poem. Oh, it's a different person. So now this is 前期. Farewell to a Japanese monk. Oh wow. Farewell to a Japanese Buddhist priest bound homeward. 送僧归日本. Didn't really expect that actually. Kind of mm, yeah, just we don't really see many other countries, right? Like within these poems. But it is a fact that like I think Japanese, Korean, or like just people from other like outside of what we now consider China, those people were able to they did visit China and they did even like serve in the court. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so uh let's go. 上国随人住，来途若梦行。伏天沧海远，去世法舟轻。水月通禅迹，鱼龙听梵声。唯灵一灯影，万里眼中明。You were foreordained to find the source, now tracing your way as in a dream. There where the sea floats up the sky, you wane from the world in your fragile boat. The water and the moon are as calm as your faith. Fishes and dragons follow your chanting. And the eye still watches beyond the horizon, the holy light of your single lantern. Wow. I don't think it is foreordained. Well, okay. Yeah, Ren. I mean, this is just karma. So I guess karma is kind of foreordained, I guess. So 上国, or you're foreordained to find the source. I guess it's like the source of like meaning just to come to China, right? And now tracing your way as in a dream. There, where the sea floats up the sky, you wane from the world in your fragile boat. Wow, that's really cool. The water and the moon are as calm as your faith. Fishes and dragons follow your chanting. Hmm. And the eye still watches beyond the horizon. The holy light of your single lantern. Wow, that's great. Like, don't you think this is much better than the other one? This on seeing Wang Li for the South. Or maybe this is just different because like a priest, like a Japanese Buddhist priest, like a monk, right? So just has a very different vibe to it. But I feel like this is just maybe it's very fresh. It's just very different. Sort of uses a lot of different um yeah, I guess just the vocabulary is very different, the imagery is very different. So pretty cool. I quite like this. Yeah, like yes. I mean, the substance wise, I guess it's not much different, but it's quite a good poem. Okay. Yeah, fishes and dragons follow your chanting. That's pretty cool. And the eye still watches from beyond the horizon, the holy light of your single lantern. Okay, there's not much to say. It's just kind of cool, I guess. Yeah. And then next, maybe let's move on. So there aren't any critics here. That's a shame. I like this. I wish there would be more comments. I think it's pretty interesting just because and for one thing, it's sending off like a monk, which is not very common in these poems, and sending off a Japanese monk. Yeah. So pretty interesting. And then next, right? Let's move on to this next one. So by the same poet, Qian Qi. From my study at the mouth of the valley, a message to Censor Yang. So the person's name is Censor Yang, by the way. That's his official title. So 谷口书斋寄杨补缺，全鹤带毛辞，云霞生碧为，竹帘新雨后，山爱夕阳时，见鹿溪长早，秋花落更迟。家童扫罗镜，昨日故人妻。At a little grass hut in the valley of the river, where a cloud seems born from a viny wall, you will love the bamboos new with rain, and mountains tender in the sunset. Cranes drift early here to rest, and autumn flowers are slow to fade. I have bidden my pupil to sweep the grassy path for the coming of my friend. I think I've read this before, so very well. I liked the poem the first time I read it. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. I don't think there's. Well, let's check if there's any context I'm missing here. But this is just like a friend coming to visit, right? Okay, so it's really just a friend visiting. Okay, so let's try again. At a little grass hut in the valley of the river, where a cloud seems born from a viny wall. Oh, so this is his house, okay. You will love the bamboos new with rain, and mountains tender in the sunset. Cranes drift early, sure to rest, and autumn flowers are slow to fade. I have bidden my pupil to sweep the grassy path for the coming of my friend. And this presumably this sent to his friend. So is he saying it's ready for you, man? It's ready for you to visit? Really? I don't have much to say about this. I'm looking at the famous critics. It says, or at least here there's a comment which says like, it personifies the various like the water, the clouds, the bamboo, the mountain. Is it good? Really? I see. Okay, so here it's not in English, that's why. Okay. So here it says, is the clouds give birth to the viney wall? I think it makes more sense that the clouds are born from the dividing wall, though. Right? But here it's like the bamboo pities or treasures the time after the new rain, is it? Oh wait, or here is like the mountains love the time of sunset. At least there's a clear case of personification here. I guess, at least in this reading, it's saying that almost like the whole mountain is welcoming him, welcoming his friend. Okay. I do think it's very interesting. It's like there's no talk of his own emotions, right? His own anticipation. It's just is describing all these things in these natural features. And then he's like, oh, he says this oh, even here is even there's this I have bidden my pupil to sweep the grassy path. It in Chinese is just the pupil sweeps the grassy path. So there is no I here really. So I guess yeah, that's kind of interesting. It's like he's writing the anticipation without saying I'm excited, you know. It's he shows it, he shows it by the way everything else seems to be perceived to him, such that, you know, the mountain is then personified as loving the dusk. That's really interesting. That's pretty interesting, yeah. Okay. Not very useful, these critics' comments. Gosh, why aren't there, are these poems just like not famous? Like why do we not have any poems with like substantive comments here? Okay, let me just close a few of the tabs. So we're just going through these poems so fast today. It's a bit like kind of wish there's more to talk about. Like at this rate I can finish in like I don't know. Okay, we're halfway done. We're halfway done. So we're not that fast. Okay, so next, Wei Ying Wu. A greeting on the Huai River to my old friends from Liangchuan. 怀上喜会凉川故人，江汉曾为客，相逢每醉还。浮云一别后，流水十年间。欢笑情如旧，萧疏冰已斑。何因北归去，怀上对秋山。We used to be companions on the Jiang and the Han, and as often as we met, we were likely to be tipsy. Since we left one another, floating apart like clouds, 10 years have run like water, till at last we join again. And we talk again and laugh again, just as in early days, except that the hair on our heads is tinged now with gray. Why not come along then, all of us together, and face the autumn mountains and sail along the Huai? So is this just like a random friend? Like, is there context? Okay, it is just a random friend then. Just, oh, but he meets, I guess it's like just happens to meet his friend on the Huai River, is it? Oh, it probably is planned though. So, So we used to be companions on the Jiang and the Han, and as often as we met, we were likely to be tipsy. I like that. Then, since we left one another, floating apart like clouds, 10 years have run like water, till at last we join again. And we talk again and laugh again, just as in early days, except that the hair on our heads is tinged now with gray. Why not come along then, all of us together, and face the autumn mountains and sail along the Huai? I like that. Like, it's not very, I don't know, like, I don't think it's very subtle or what, but it's just, I like the sentiment. It's kind of, I feel like this is straightforward but charming. They're just like, oh, we always used to get drunk, and but now it's just like old times, and let's just go hang out again. Yeah, I don't know. This seems very straightforward, but like very charming. Maybe is there anything? Oh, it is using the water to. There's one point here said which is using the water to as an image, right? As a metaphor. Well, floating apart like clouds as well, but 10 years run like water. I guess maybe because they were, sorry, they used to be friends when they were, I guess, traveling along the river. So it's nice that he used that to, so just like they were on the river, the time has also passed like water. Oh, that's very interesting. Hmm. Okay. I think that's about it though. Yeah. Let's look at the famous critics. Uh, um, I'm not sure if this is really okay, but this here's an interesting idea. It says, if the words are very plain, then it cannot work without very deeply felt emotions, because, uh, well, yeah, kind of obviously, right? Like, if the words are plain and the emotions are plain, then the poem is plain. If you speak plainly about very strong emotions, I think that will still, I think in some sense that might work better, or in certain cases that might work better because it gives more direct access to those strong emotions. Yeah. And I think here the observation is that this has very strong emotions. I think so, right? Like it just feels very charming, like you can really feel how happy he is to meet his old friends, right? Like it's kind of basic, I guess. It's like, oh, just like old times, except now our hair is a bit gray. But I don't know. I guess I could just relate to this. It's very like friends from college vibes. I guess I can relate to this. So I just like this a lot. So yeah. Okay. I approve. And then next, a farewell to in the evening rain to Li Cao, I think. Li Zhou, even. Okay. 不得暮雨送李胄，楚江微雨里，建业暮中时。漠漠翻来虫， 明明鸟去迟，海门深不见。朴树远寒姿，相送情无限。沾襟笔伞丝。Is it raining on the river all the way to Chu? The evening bell comes to us from Nanjing. Your wet sail drags and is loath to be going, and shadowy birds are flying slow. We cannot see the deep ocean gate, only the bows at Pukou, newly dripping. Likewise, because of our great love, there are threads of water on our faces. So again, let's see if there's any specific context we need to say here. Oh, this is by Wei Ying Wu again. Not sure if I mentioned. Yeah, so context, not much, not at all even. Okay, but there are a few famous critics which we can look at later. All right, so is it raining? All right, so he's saying farewell to his friend. So we've already seen two of those today, right? So I guess we can compare what we think. So is it raining on the river all the way to Chu? The evening bell comes to us from Nanjing. Your wet sail drags and is loath to be going. Oh, that's really interesting. So here is another case of personification, right? Where the sail doesn't want to go. And shadowy birds are flying slow. We cannot see the deep ocean gate. Only the bows at Pukou, newly dripping. Oh, it's raining very heavily then. Likewise, because of our great love, there are threads of water on our face. Wow. Damn. Wow, that's really good. Damn. I love this final line. It literally is like, I guess the tears are like scattered silk threads, right? That's really good. Wow. I mean, the tears are like water, because it could be the rain, right? But this is just like, from Blade Runner when they're like, oh, tears in rain. Like that's exactly the scene. Wow. And oh, it's so cinematic. Like they're standing in this like rain, and then you hear the bell, and you see the sort of like the sails sort of sagging under the rain, and then the birds are flying. And now it pans, right? You're looking, or it cuts, you see like, can't really see out. And you only see these yeah, just wet trees. Like I love how everything is wet, right? And in the end it hits you, it's like, oh, but my face is also wet. But with what, Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Wow. Wow. Probably the best poem we've read today. That's really good. Damn. Okay, so apparently people like the third and fourth line as well. And your wet sail drags and is loath to be going, and shadowy birds are flying slow. That's really interesting. Wow. This is really good. Damn, I love this. It's just it's just the device of the water is so well done here. I wonder, but also interesting because it's a boat, right? So it's also on water. But he doesn't talk about that. It's just the water that's falling from the sky and its effect on everything. And then you have the tears, right, which are also falling. So like, wow. And it's like the water are like threads. It's just that's very interesting though. Why is the water like threads? I mean, clearly there's the shape, right? This is long. Like the trail is like a thread, but huh. Yeah, why is it like a thread? That kind of that's a very interesting image to me. Here it just says 丝. I still read 丝 as a thread though. Here it's just reading like 丝 as like a thin rain. I mean, obviously it's raining, so I think so. It's like tears are like thin rain. I don't think that's very. No, I think that's wrong. It has to be like threads, right? Like scattered threads. It cannot be like scattered. Like, why would you say the rain again? Like, we already talked about the rain like the last 7 lines, right? I don't know. I just don't think it's a very compelling reading from them. But let's see. I think it was a thread. It was like silk. It feels very. It's precious. Maybe that's why. Oh, well, maybe they are right, and it is just like rain. But I think the overall point does still stand that. I think the use of water is very just the tears and rain thing. It really, yeah. I guess I just didn't see it coming. Just really worked very well. So, wow, yes, wow, I like this a lot. Okay, next. We did the famous comments already, I believe. It's just like the third and fourth lines, right? Yes. Okay. So the next, 韩红. Do we have two? Okay. Clearly not. I've never heard of him, and it seems like he only has one poem in this part, so not a super famous poet. Wait, let me close some of my tabs, but yeah, okay. So we're back. So here, an autumn evening, harmonizing Cheng Qin's poem, Chen Ting, right? Or Cheng Yan. All right, whatever. So this is 愁成言秋夜即事见赠，长殿迎风早，空城淡月华，星河秋一雁。真楚夜千家，节侯看应晚，星期卧意。奢向来银秀具，不觉以名压。When the cold wind is creeping under my mat, and the city's naked wall grows pale with the autumn moon, I see a lone wild goose crossing the river of stars. And I hear, on stone in the night, thousands of washing mallets. But instead of wishing the season, as it goes, to bear me oh so far away, I have found your poem so beautiful that I forget the homing birds. Wow, that's interesting. So I guess his friend sent him a poem, and then he's trying to compose a reply, was it? Or he's just thankful that his friend sent him a poem. Well, that's really cool. I don't think we've had that before. Okay. That's really interesting. Let's read it again. While the cold wind is creeping under my mat, and the city's naked wall grows pale with the autumn moon. I think pale is probably the wrong. I think it's more of a negative connotation. I think this hua it's like splendor, right? So the moon, the splendor of the moon. So I imagine it's more like a positive thing than pale, but okay. Then I see a lone wild goose crossing the river of stars, and I hear, on stone in the night, thousands of washing mallets. But instead of wishing the season as it goes, to bear me also far away, I have found your poem so beautiful that I forget the homing birds. I think here it should be, I found your poem so beautiful, yeah, that I do not notice that the crows are already crowing, crying. So, oh, I think maybe, well, crows, even though it's like unlucky, you would say, but they're also, I think, like sacred birds in a way because they're like some, yeah, I think they're supposed to be like messengers of some female deity. So at first I thought it's not very cool to compare his friend's poem to like crows crying. But I think it could work if we see crows as more like a positive animal, right? So the crows crying, maybe it's like a divine message. So maybe it's that's the vibe he's going for. Yeah. So like that's what his friend's poems surpasses this divine message. So that's possible. Mm. I think this is a very sensory poem. First, it's like there's the cold wind, right? There's the wind at least. Like you kind of feel it, and then you see like the light of the moon and the wild goose. So cross the river of stars is like Milky Way, right? And then now he hears the pounding of the mallets. I think this sets the scene pretty well. Just really engages quite a few senses within these 4 lines. And then, but instead of wishing the season as it goes, to bear me also found far away. So I guess this is, you hear it, but I guess it's not like, or I guess he doesn't like it. That's what he wants. Usually he would want to be sent away. But here he's like, but anyway, it's a very sensory first 4 lines, but he's like, but now the poem actually takes him away from like these immediate things to almost like a some yeah, just takes him away from that. Yeah, so very interesting. Mm. And it's sort of, yeah, just I guess just brings him to like another dimension almost. That he sort of forgets all the things that are happening. Like he forgets he doesn't hear even that the crows are crowing. Hmm, interesting. Let's look at some famous critics. I'm not sure if I'm fully getting what's going on here. Well, there's only two comments. They're not very useful either, really. I think these are pretty, this is a pretty good poem, I think. Well, it's pretty different. Um, so maybe let's see. Okay. Hmm. I still don't understand why he wants to wish the season to bear him far away. Hmm. Hmm. I guess it isn't very nice, right? The cold wind, just like the pounding at night, like you can't sleep. And I don't know, I think it is quite, but it's also strangely beautiful though. I think the way it's described, right? You know, the lone wild goose crossing the river of stars. I think it's pretty nice. Hmm. Hmm. Well, okay. Maybe, yeah, I think let's just move on. But good poem. I enjoyed this. Finally, by Liu Ji有几诗，缺题。道有白云尽，春雨清溪长。时有落花至，远岁流水香。闲门向山路，深柳读书堂。悠扬美白日，啊，悠扬美白日，清辉照衣裳。On a road outreaching the white clouds, by a spring outrunning the bluest river, petals come drifting on the wind, and the brook is sweet with them all the way. My quiet gate is a mountain trail, and the willow trees about my cottage. Sift on my sleeve through the shadowy noon, distillations of the sun. It's just called a poem. That's not very helpful. I know it's a poem. Huh. What's the context of this? Okay, so originally the title, they had a title, but it got lost. So that's why. That's why people just said, oh, it's a poem. Oh, then let's try to figure out what it's about. It looks like it's just a scenery sort of poem, right? Huh. But it's also writing about his friend living there, apparently. Well, let's see. By a road outreaching the white clouds, by a spring outrunning the bluest river, petals come drifting on the wind, and the brook is sweet with them all the way. Okay, so he's describing the scene. There's a road, there's a spring, then there are petals drifting, right, along the river. And then my quiet gate is a mountain trail, and the willow trees about my cottage. Quiet gate is a mountain trail, willow trees about my cottage. Sift on my sleeve through the shadowy noon, distillations on the sun of the sun. What? Okay, so he's living in the forest, right? I mean, in the mountains, right? And then the sun is shining on him. Wait, what? I think the cottage, okay. I mean the Chinese 读书堂. I think that's more like reading room. I think that kind of changes the dimension of it. It's like he's studying, he's living a life of study, peaceful study in the woods, in the mountains, I guess. I think this is trying to paint a scene now. Yeah, yeah. He's, yeah, just enjoying his time in the mountains. Man, this the poems today are not giving me much to work with. Okay. Let's see. Huh? Hmm. I don't really understand this comment. It says if you seek too much on everything, then when you have a wondrous scene before you, then you will ignore it or you will not and you will not understand it. But if you get this, then you will see the beauty of nature. What is that? So is he just saying this is describing like this is about being in the moment? I can see that. I mean, the description is very beautiful. So I guess if you just want me to just be in the moment, then there's not much to say. It's just very nice, which is good. I mean, it is nice, and I like it. Just that I can't analyze it. Yeah. Hmm. Damn, this I guess it's just nice. I mean, yeah, it's just like a sunny day. It's yeah, maybe I shouldn't just think too much. Yeah. He's just, hey man, it's a sunny day. I'm living in a comfy place with a great view. Life is good. This is a poem. Yeah, I guess so, right? I guess maybe that's all it has to be. I mean, I certainly enjoyed reading this, so yeah, okay. I guess then that's it for today. I wish I had more illuminating things to say. But yeah, okay, it's pretty good. Let's see if we can. Maybe I will try to do the rest of the poems for the next few days. I would like to try to finish it as soon as possible, mainly because I'm going on a trip, and also I want to work on some other things during the summer for this channel. And it's just if I do this live stream every week, I just don't have the energy to do other things. Like, well, let's see. Okay, I probably will, and if I will, I will put a community post anyway. And yeah, so I'll probably see you tomorrow, actually. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and tomorrow we'll have. Honestly, are these guys even famous? I guess we're just reading a bunch of poems by randos, but that's not very nice to call them that. But okay, at least after this we have like gosh, 20 something poems. And then we'll go to the next genre, which is 8. No, that's not right. Which is this one. 7-character regular verse. So these should be pretty good. And yeah. The heck? I'll just shut up. But yeah, let's go through this and then I will see you tomorrow.